Inside this package is a cane. Inside that cane is a sword. Inside that sword is delicious peppermint candy. Inside that candy is sugar. Yum. Usable. Alright, let's use it. You unwrap your brand new candy cane sword cane. You acquire an item, candy cane sword cane. Alright. Candy cane sword cane. It is a cane, a sword. It's a candy cane. Basically, it's the best of all possible worlds when it comes to ways to walk, fight, or eat. Weapon damage plus 50%, never fumble, grants 250 adventures of Sugar Rush at rollover. Weapon damage plus 5, all attributes plus 10. Whip out a sword during fights and other adventures. Interesting. So one of the first things I notice is that it has a rollover buff, but does not give you any rollover adventures. So that's a tricky one to justify. I personally probably won't wear it at rollover unless... No, the Sugar Rush buff isn't that good. You can get it from all different kinds of candy. So, that part at least is underwhelming. Weapon damage plus 50%. Never fumble is nice. All attributes plus 10. Okay, so the buffs on the weapon aren't impressing me, but let's see what whip out a sword during fights and other adventures does. So right now the time twitching tower is still available, so let's take it on a spin there. So I've been adventuring in Home of the Future, targeting the robot maid. So here we are. I'm going to go through my skill list to see if I spot anything new. Okay, so we've got Surprisingly Sweet Stab and Surprisingly Sweet Slash. Let's try the first one. Surprisingly Sweet Stab. Use skill. You lithely draw the sword from your cane and wet your blade with your wet tongue. Dancing forward, you thrust and stab She right in the circuitry for 218 plus 4 hot plus 19 cold plus 8 spooky damage. You acquire an effect, Peppermint Rush. Okay, what does Peppermint Rush do? Combat Initiative, Muscle, Moxie, takes away Mist, and gives you 3 stats per fight. I mean, that could be useful in places where you need more initiative or need to increase your non-mist stats, or just want to gain stats in general. Interesting. Okay, so that was Surprisingly Sweet Stab. I noticed that I can still use it, so let's use it one more time. And it did. It gave me more adventures of Peppermint Rush. Okay, interesting. So let's fight again. Alright, so we've got Surprisingly Sweet Stab. We already used that one. Let's take a look at Surprisingly Sweet Slash. Use skill. Okay, so this gives you the same buff, Peppermint Rush. As you quickly draw the candy cane sword out of your cane, you run your tongue across its red and white striped blade, wetting both the blade and your appetite. The sudden appearance of a blade shocks your opponent, and she is crippled as you slice a path through her head. Okay, so what I see here is that you get the Peppermint Rush buff. Here the duration is 27 adventures. The last time I used the skill it was 28. Or sorry, the other skill, it was 28, so that's interesting. And it reduced monster attack power and defense, so it makes it easier to fight. The poison is from the Forest Friars. So, interesting. Alright, so Surprisingly Sweet Stab is still available, but Surprisingly Sweet Slash looks like I could only use it once per fight. Let's use the stab again, just to see. Okay, so Peppermint Rush is now 26. It looks like every time I use one of the skills, the duration of the Peppermint Rush buff that I gain is reduced by 1. So, interesting. And it looks like Peppermint Slash, or sorry, Surprisingly Sweet Slash is a once per fight move, whereas Surprisingly Sweet Stab you can do over and over again. Okay, so let's keep doing this. So last one was 26. Let's use Stab again. Yep, look at that, it's 25. Now let's use Slash. Yep, 24. And power and defense reduced as opposed to having any damage. And I cannot use that skill again, so let's use stab again. 23. Okay, so every time I use it, I'm reducing it. The surprisingly sweet, well, see these names. Okay, the surprisingly sweet stab does some elemental damage, and the surprisingly sweet slash just reduces attack power and defense. So I use it again, it's at 22. Let's use the stab, it's at 21. Okay, so we've got a sausage goblin this time. Alright, so let's do the stab. Okay, and it's down to 19 now. What I want to see is if I get the counter down to 0, do the moves disappear? Or are they still available, just without the Peppermint Rush buff after this? So let's do that one more time just to look at the message again. Surprisingly sweet slash. Interesting phrasing. It doesn't look like it means anything as far as I can tell. Okay, so let's do the stab again. Alright, 15 adventures. Alright, let's keep doing this until we get down to 0 and see what happens. Okay, so we get Peppermint Rush 14. We're going to use the slash now. Peppermint Rush 13. Ah, interesting. The new skills are no longer showing up in my skill list. Well, I can just attack with the cane directly. It's funny that I haven't done that yet. Interesting. Okay, so both skills disappeared from the skill list. Okay, but they're surprisingly sweet slash. Interesting. So slash is still here, but stab has disappeared. We're at 12. Definitely isn't triggering. Okay. Yes, all we have left is the slash. 11 adventures. And still just slash. 10 adventures. Still just slash. 9 adventures. Slash. 8. And surprisingly sweet slash is also no longer available in my skill list. Yeah, weapon damage plus 50%, that can be useful. Never fumble is always useful. Oh, interesting. So weapon damage is plus 115 now. That's quite a bit more than we started with. And we're finding out that it helps you complete the daily dungeon faster. It will give you an extra fat loot token in the second treasure chest of the daily dungeon. It will help you complete the hidden bowling alley, one bowling ball faster. And it also has a number of places where you can get buffs, meat, and one area where you can get a size 1 good quality food. So this is looking like it will have a lot of Ascension relevance. Unfortunately, I can't show you most of those non-combats today because I'm not in the middle of a run, but I may do that in the future. Let me know if that'd be helpful to you. All right, thank you very much for your time. Hope you enjoy.